Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. So the lesson this lady learned is carry on doing whatever you want, whenever you want. All you have to do is cry, and others will jump to help you. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Give someone an inch, and they take a mile. I've always been grateful I never had stories to share. Until this happened. We've been renovating our entire downstairs for the better part of 4 months. My husband's been working on it at night and weekends. He's a plumber and has a great working relationship with someone who hauls junk for a living and often cleans up his work sites. He does really well for himself as a young man. We pay him once a week to come and haul all the debris from the renovation. When we have a smaller load, we ask our neighbors if they have big things they need to throw out to make it worth his time. We don't even ask for money. We're just being neighborly. Well, we literally finished the floors yesterday. We had him come pick up the last load of junk. It wasn't big, so we again asked neighbors if they had anything to add to the pile, as this would be the last trip. Everyone said no. My husband left for work this morning to find 2 lazy boys, microwave, and 6 huge bags on our lawn. We were both like, WTF? So at 7:30 a.m., my husband knocked on doors to find out who it belonged to. It was our next-door neighbor. She told us she had nothing to dump the previous day. She then said she'd called her brother to see if he had anything to dump and drop it off at our house. That wasn't part of the deal. I told her yesterday that was the last load and her brother needs to grab his stuff immediately. She told me he was moving and can't get back over here, so can we have our guy pick this load up today? I said yes, but also gave her the price. She looked at me like I was nuts because we've never asked for money before. When I explained we were being neighborly, and since he was there getting our trash, we asked if anyone had any more to add. Now that we're done, he won't be coming over anymore. She said they can't afford to pay for him to make the trip. My husband and son moved all the stuff to her garage, gave her the guy's number, and told her to figure it out. I've been getting text messages all morning about her sob story because now she can't park in her garage. Not my problem. We asked her, not her brother, who we don't know. I'm still shocked she had the audacity to have her brother dump stuff on our lawn. My husband said he'd just pay, but I'm adamant that he doesn't. So flipping rude. Aftermath. When my husband came home, she walked straight over to give him a sob story about how her brother moved to Arizona because he couldn't afford California anymore. I totally understand. He reached out to the junk man. Not being disrespectful, it's what he calls himself in his company, and he's picking the load up today after he leaves one of my husband's job sites. I didn't ask if he had to pay because I just didn't want to know. I also didn't want to live in animosity with a neighbor we see daily. We're not rich people. We'll do everything we can to help friends, family, neighbors, and our community. This event will definitely make me think twice now. And our second story. It's usually a good idea to know your own rules before you start enforcing them. It's 1994 and I'm in the 8th grade, 13 years old, at a private religious school that had some very interesting rules, one of which was that we were not allowed to bring meat to school. They had some other really weird views on things like medicine, if that gives you some idea of the religion. Neither myself nor my family subscribed to the school's religion, but it happened to be the best private school in the area, and I was having some issues with bullying in public school, so this is where I landed. I have blood sugar issues that have since become more manageable, but due to the dietary restrictions and general rules of this school, I was not allowed to eat as often or as nutritiously as was necessary in order for me to maintain myself throughout the day. And as such, I was often irritable, and before long, I was labeled a troublemaker. One Thursday afternoon in the spring, I had a particularly bad blood sugar episode after gym class. I had to be sent to the nurse. Quotations used because although she had basic medical training, it was only enough to placate the school's insurance, and per their religion, she did absolutely nothing but allow one to lie down and pray until they felt better. I straight up passed out. Like for the rest of the school day, I was actually stirred back to consciousness by the sound of my mother screaming bloody murder at the principal, nurse, and receptionist about 30 feet and 3 walls away. However motivating the ruckus was, I could not pull myself off the infirmary cot. My mother had to carry me out to the car and drive me to the emergency room for emergency rehydration. I did not return to school on Friday, prompting my best friend Craig to call and check on me. I told him what happened, and he said he had a plan. Cue malicious compliance. The following Monday, we had gym in the morning. The school was a K through 12, so our gym class hours would switch with the younger classes depending on the weather. On this particular day, we were doing timed mile runs. Now, I've always been a gangly dude with an above-average stride, so my average mile time was pretty good. Low fives, which isn't bad for a 13-year-old, but today I decided to push myself and see if I could come in under 5. Edit, I did not run the mile in under 5 until several years later. That was just included in order to give you an idea of how much time we had. I was one of the first to finish, with Craig coming in close behind. We went to the grass to relax, and Craig pulls something out of the waistband of his shorts. It's his mom's credit card. He then tells me that his dad's cell phone, uncommon in '94 but not unheard of in his dad's line of work, is in his gym locker. We asked for permission to go change for lunch since the run is all we're doing today. Gym teacher says yes, and we haul butt to the locker room. We get to the locker room and begin to enact our plan. Craig calls Pizza Hut and orders a large meat lover's pizza to be delivered to us at school. The school has strict but ambiguously written rules about students conducting financial transactions on school grounds, so we used the credit card to pay for the pizza over the phone so no money changed hands on the property. Fast forward 25 minutes. Craig and I are sitting in the cafeteria with our friends, the two of us not eating. Enter Pizza Hut guy, who thankfully seemed intrigued by what had happened. Imagine you're a pizza guy called to a school cafeteria with a single pizza. Every eye in the room was on this guy as he awkwardly said, louder than normal talking, but still kind of sheepishly, "I have a large pizza lovers for a Craig MXXX." Craig and I look at each other and leap up, run up to PHG, and Craig says, "I'm Craig MXXX, that's for me." He then shows PHG the credit card used to place the order, and PHG seems okay with this. At this moment, the principal, hereafter known as PC, comes running out of his office just as Craig and I lift the lid on the box to inspect the pizza before taking it from PHG. PC gets hit full in the face with a wave of hot meat fumes and absolutely loses his mind, slapping the pizza box closed and sending it to the floor, thankfully unharmed. Craig and I were taken by the ear to the office, where we were told to wait for our parents. My mother arrived about 15 minutes later, absolutely furious that she had to leave work, and Craig's dad, who'd been at home waiting for the phone to ring, arrived a couple of minutes later. The conversation that followed went about like this. PC, your boys violated the rules and are subject to expulsion. CD, Craig's dad, what exactly did they do? PC, they brought meat to school and conducted a financial transaction on school grounds. MM, my mom, didn't you say they had it delivered? PC, well, yes, but what does that have to do? MM, so they didn't bring it then? PC, well, they had it brought, that's the same thing. CD, show me the student handbook. Lo and behold, it doesn't say anything about being brought meat at school, only bringing it ourselves. One down. PC, that still doesn't excuse the financial transaction rule. MM, how was the pizza paid for? PC, I assume it was cash since neither of these boys are old enough to have a credit card. CD, see, that's where you're wrong. I gave Craig a credit card in case of emergencies. PC, name one instance in which ordering a pizza is an emergency. CD, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't OP hospitalized last week for blood sugar-related exhaustion and dehydration? PC, that's confidential school information, and me. Actually, Craig's my best friend, so he knows all about it. He even called me over the weekend to check on me. Did you? MM, no, he didn't. No one from the school did. PC stammers. CD, I've wasted enough of my time here today, and I'm starting to think that I wasted enough of my money here overall. You want to expel my kid? Fine. I'll put all 4 of my kids out. Now you're losing 5 tuition checks a month over a pizza and some kids who apparently know your rules better than you do. MM nods in agreement. We stand up to leave. PC ended up backpedaling hard, and we got off without any repercussions. To put the cherry on our day, CD pointed out the rule about finishing your entire lunch or getting into trouble, and since you kept these boys in the office for their entire lunch period, You have to give them the opportunity to follow the rules like everyone else. So Craig and I got to sit in the cafeteria by ourselves for an entire period eating our now cold victory pizza. And our last story. HOA sending me bills with thousands in late fees and fines even though I never joined one? Before we closed on our house in 2019, we were assured by our realtor, the seller, and her realtor that there was not a HOA in our subdivision. I've got a project car, we have some exotic pets, etc., and would prefer not to have people say what we can or can't do at our house. At the beginning of the year, we started getting notices in the mail from an HOA with late fees and fines going back to when we purchased the house. I asked a couple of my neighbors, and there is indeed a HOA for this neighborhood, and it's kind of a crapshoot on who actually pays dues. Some do, some don't. I reviewed the deed to my house and all the documents signed during closing, and none of them mentioned a HOA, and we've never been sent any documents to sign or bylaws or anything like that. The HOA is demanding a lot of money. I called them and offered to pay this year's dues if we could be given bylaws and documents to sign. They say we have to pay all of it, and it's a solid chunk of change, would wipe out nearly all my savings. We still haven't received any documentation or bylaws. I think I can tell them to go pound sand. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.